Back to the poem. A stupid man thinks he knows everything if he gets himself in a tough corner, but he doesn't even know what he'll answer if men ask him questions.
This is one of those situations where you're talking to someone who acts as if they know absolutely everything about any given subject. And usually those types of people think they know everything about everything. And then you ask them usually like a specific question that how they answer will very clearly show everyone how much they actually know. And they don't have a clue like what to say. So it comes out as like, I think the term is baffle gab, where they use big words and concepts and all this kind of stuff that actually mean nothing. And you're just like, okay, you know nothing about what you're talking about. It's fun to watch. It's not fun to be the person that's happening to, because you get put into a corner and you feel it. You're like, oh crap, I'm caught. And the way to remedy this is humility again, and understanding that you don't know everything. And we can actually go back to Socrates for this, that, the one thing Socrates knew is that he knew nothing. And so he was then open to learning everything he could. And it's sort of like this, where if you don't know something, freely admit it, because then you'll be able to learn. And that's really the solution or the antidote to being the stupid man.
Definitely. The Larrington translation paints a different perspective. So her wording is that the stupid man cowers in the corner, so off on his own. So to me, that also says something to the effect of, you might think you know a lot when you're by yourself. Who hasn't had the idea of the experience of, they get the perfect thing to say after a conversation, right? After they've had a little bit of time to think about it, right? So it's, to me, this also has, not to say that interpretation isn't exactly right. Someone just blustering off, sure, right? But it's also the case that, if you have someone who you think you know everything, if you're in your own head or off in your own corner, when it comes time to actually compare yourself to other people, maybe you actually know nothing.
Definitely.
And I think this is just part of the ongoing theme of just emphasizing knowledge in general and being able to keep up with the whys, like an ongoing self-fulfilling competition. If everyone is trying to get wiser, that's going to make things better for everyone. And actually, I think that is something unique in that there were actually competitions, almost exactly, you would call it competitions, to see who is the most wise. And it was a competition to, we'll see that in the next poem, actually, Vafthrudnismal. It's just an emphasis on continually learning and pushing the standard and pushing yourself further, so that in the situations where you find yourself with wise people, you can hold your own on the things that you know about, but then you can also learn something yourself. And I think easiest way to shut down the possibility of someone teaching you something is if you try and act like a know-it-all.
Definitely.
So I think this is a fantastic, just another nuanced way of saying that you should know what you know, but if you don't know something, just admit it freely and learn and listen, pay attention, all those things.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway is humility. I think that's in a lot of these actually, is just be humble, and that'll keep you open to learning. Because I've noticed there's nothing about like you're stupid for not being wise because you haven't learned yet. It's like you're dumb if you have been given every opportunity to learn and yet you haven't. There's no admonition against like trying to learn. So there seems to be no go out and learn. It's almost your duty to learn. And here's what happens if you don't.
Well, yeah, I like that point. There's no admonition against trying to learn, but the flip side is if you haven't taken the opportunity by putting yourself out there to learn, that's also bad.
Yes, exactly.
Like, that's your own fault too.
Yes.
If you haven't put yourself out there for it. And I think the other nuance here is just a little bit of preparation and complacency that you if you just are going off of believing that you know enough to, whatever, handle some sort of situation, but you haven't actually gone and thought through the questions that people might ask, right? Then that's your own fault as well. So it's
for sure.
Continually puts it back on the individual, it's your own, each individual's responsibility to learn, put themselves out there, grow, gain knowledge, all the above.
Yeah, it's sort of I would say if there's a theme through all of this, it is your duty to better yourself. And the way you do that is through humility and moderation. And if you don't do this, then you're a stupid man or a foolish man or whatever. But I think that's because that seems to be what everything is orbiting around, is moderation and humility.
Yeah, and it's important to note that maybe the moderation is explicit when it's talking about
definitely
drinking and
eating and talking.
Yeah, but humility is something where we're really just reading between the lines here, but it comes up consistently, and that's really just to say that it's a common thread, but also something that is nuanced. It's something that you need to understand to get there, but this isn't saying it explicitly. At least it's not saying the words directly.
No.
So, but the idea of just listening and paying attention, being quiet.